What are the main points for you for that?
Well, I think that there are 3 or 4 main issues that came out. The first big issues came from the main speakers. The first one was the role to be able to say that look, there's a global financial system which plays a role in how it mobilizes resources from poor developing countries, resources that are generated from those countries, instead of staying there for reinvestment, actually flow out to the north. So then they have a financial problem in terms of financing their development, right? So that's the first issue, and I think that that's an important starting point. Then the second speaker talks about the changes in Dutch aid policy, the way in which they are targeting aid to specific groups or countries so that they can target it better, but also changing the mechanism to include aid and trade. Now, my view is that the unity between those 2 presentations is that, in a certain sense, the new methodology of Dutch aid policy is actually facilitating the transfer of resources from rather than helping development. Because the specific areas in which these so-called aid and trade investment go in developing countries, rather to create opportunities for the Dutch private sector to invest in areas that does not really address the problems in the developing countries, but generates profits that are then repatriated back to Dutch societies. So that the challenge that the 2 of us, the last speakers, had to deal with was to point to the fact that Dutch aid policy and these reforms that are going in place is really not really aid anymore. It's actually part of private sector investment. And either you are frontally to say that and you are happy with it, or you say that I acknowledge that that's a problem and you have to change it. And my contribution then is that actually, in a certain sense, we should go back to the days in which aid really played a role. You see, as I said from the very beginning, when African countries became independent, they have a vision of where they want to go. They develop strategies to transform their economies. And they discovered that to transform their economies, they have to mobilize domestic resources to ensure that what is producing their economies is reinvested. But there was going to be financial gaps. And in those gaps, foreign private sector can fit into, but also ODA can be a supplementary effort. So we have to return to a situation where we see ODA as a modest contribution to fill the gap in fulfilling or realizing the strategy that the people in the country develop for themselves. Rather than the situation that we have now, in which ODA is becoming a mechanism for intervening in the societies to actually get them to do things that does not address their problem, but which makes it possible. It's more compatible with what Dutch companies, for instance, want to do. And I think that is a broad summary of the conversation that we had in the meeting.
Is part of the problem acceptance of accepting that the money is really investment in the private sector rather than investment into facilitating what you need to facilitate?
Well, I mean, the problem of the people who are accepting it. You mean the audience or
of governments, states?
Well, I think that the governments have, for whatever reason, moved further and further away to facilitating the private investment of their own countries and the opportunities for them outside. It looks as if there's now a competition for every country, especially in the West, to promote opportunities for the profit generation of their companies based in their societies. That's a problem. Now, the government may think that that's good for them, but citizens in those countries should not accept it. Citizens in Holland and Britain and co. should say that, listen, my taxpayers' money and my contribution to development should not be about facilitating profit making for my companies. It should be about whether or not those countries that we are working into have got ways of which they want to address their problem, and how does our money do that. So in my view, as usual in all development, there's a contestation of paradigms, and citizens must be aware of that and choose one paradigm and fight for it and get their government to be able to accept that they have to change tack. Yeah.
About the whole conference, what are you hoping to take away, and what are you hoping other people will take away from the conference?
Well, for me, anyway, it is the first thing for me personally is the fact that there are so many people who have met here and are willing to examine existing policy and think about, dream about alternatives, whatever. That itself is a cause for optimism, because when you are sitting in your own country and you face the existing situation, which is not the best, you feel isolated, right? But when you come and people are here, the starting point here is that what is happening is not good enough. We have to do something different about it. So there's a certain solidarity of optimism for alternatives. And what I hope others will take from here is that to build an alternative, we should have a much more precise and critical understanding of what does exist. So that it's good to build dreams on the basis of a very critical, precise knowledge of the existing situation that we are in, so that we have a much more understanding of the different critical areas and linkages and interconnections between aid and FDI, between that and climate change, between PPPs and people's hospitals. That kind of knowledge will then be able to make sure that our dreams and our optimisms are based on some sober understanding of reality.
Brilliant.